Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf alongside Nick Wright, Kevin Wilds. We got Brian Westbrook with us coming up on a Wednesday morning. Couple of questions I'm going to throw at you. Is it make or break time for Baker Mayfield? Are the Patriots now tanking for Trevor? And is it the beginning of the end for Aaron Rodgers? All to be discussed. Let's start with that last one right there in Green Bay for the draft choice that still has us all talking. Instead of drafting Aaron Rodgers' next star wide receiver, the Packers went in a different direction. Instead, they chose his replacement in Jordan Love. Packers columnist Bob McGinn thinks head coach Matt LaFleur knew exactly what he was doing, saying, quote, "Public niceties aside, my sense is LaFleur, fresh from a terrific 13-3 baptismal season, simply had enough of Rodgers' act, wanted to change the narrative. With a first-round talent on the roster, the Packers would gain leverage with their imperial quarterback and his passive-aggressive style. If the Packers do indeed want to become a running team next season, they surely wouldn't want Rodgers rocking the boat and becoming even more difficult to coach." Wow. Nick, we made so much of this relationship between Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur coming into last season, only to be seemingly, surprised that we didn't hear a peep. Did this McGinn article surprise you?
Who the hell do these people think they are? And by these people, I mean the brain trust of the Green Bay Packers. People need to know who Bob McGinn is. Bob McGinn worked for, I believe it was the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel for years, has covered this team for decades, is as plugged into the Packers as Tom Curran is with the Patriots or any of the on-the-ground beat writers, even though he now works for The Athletic and covers the NFL in general. So this is an informed column with informed speculation. And every single one of these quotes makes me angrier than the previous. They're sick and tired of Rodgers' act. What act is that? Carrying your franchise for the last decade? Carrying your team that hasn't given him a top 10 defense in any year of the 2010s? Is that the act you're sick of? They want to become a more running team. You know who wants to become a running team in 2020? Teams without quarterbacks. Nobody wants to focus on the run in 2020 unless you have to. That is, I can't wait for the next NBA GM to say, you know what? We looked at our roster and mid-range jump shots and post-ups are the way for us to go. It's asinine. And then they say more difficult, it doesn't want to become even more difficult to coach. Like at some point, Aaron Rodgers needs to fire back. Brian Gutekunst, the GM there, have you bathed yourself in glory in your 3 years running that team? I know your first year, your first decision, your first draft, Derwin James is on the board, and you say, who needs him? Let's trade out of the pick. Matt LaFleur, who Rodgers supported publicly, what's his CV? What's his football resume look like? Well, he coordinated the Rams, he left, and their offense got markedly better, went from 10th to 2nd. Then he coordinated the Titans, and he left, and their offense got way better, went from 25th to 12th. Then he went to Green Bay, and their offense got worse, went from 12th to 18th. Who do these people think they are to act like Aaron Rodgers is their problem rather than their solution to all of their problems? And so they are waging a not-so-silent war against the best player in the history of their franchise, and I'm angry on his behalf, Kevin Wilds.
I thought that was just wonderful. I thought that was just fantastic. And a great way for America to wake up, especially if you're living in Wisconsin. So, Jenna, I had a different take on it. It's similar to Nick's, though. It's in the same vein. Basically, it reminded me of, like, foreign policy. So you can either have the carrot or the stick. That's what they always talk about, which means that foreign policy can work by incentives or threats. And I'm shocked when Aaron Rodgers was out there, and I think he went on McAfee's show, and he's like, yeah, it'd be nice to get some weapons in the first round. That would be the incentive to change Aaron Rodgers' behavior or attitude or whatever you're claiming in this column. But instead, they went with the stick. Instead, they're like, well, here's the threat of Jordan Love. I thought it was the wrong decision. And also, bravo to Nick. Nick, that was just tremendous. And I'm happy for you as a teammate, buddy. Oh.
Thanks. I'm angry. Rodgers is awesome, Jenna. And I'm angry about how he's being talked about.
I know you're angry, but this is something we should mention. 3 days before the draft, the Packers GM came out and said, if there's a good quarterback out there, we're going to try to go get him because everything's about drafting around a quarterback. That was before the draft started, so this was already in their plans. I think one of the most surprising things to be pulled from this, though, Brian, is this relationship. We heard about this supposed deterioration of a relationship between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, but we thought everything was great last year. They had a great season. They played well. Aaron Rodgers, maybe not his best year, but he played. Are you surprised how quickly or the inference that there are problems in Green Bay between the head coach and the star quarterback?
You know what? I am kind of surprised because at the beginning of the season, just like you mentioned, I thought there may be some issues because the Green Bay Packers are Aaron Rodgers' football team. And when you bring a new coach in, they want to have the loudest voice in the building. They want to make sure that the team vibes and feels and they kind of run off of the coach, not the quarterback. And when you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a consummate pro, you have a Hall of Fame type of quarterback, and you also have a guy that's going to throw 26 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. You have a guy that's going to lead you to the NFC Championship game and 13 wins during the regular season. So to me, that's the best of both worlds. You have a guy that can lead you, and he's a proven winner. The problem that I think in this situation, and I'll start here, I don't have a problem with the Packers drafting Jordan Love. The biggest problem that I have with the Packers is that they didn't find any other weapons to help Aaron Rodgers on the outside. They didn't have anyone else to be opposite Devontae Adams. That's the problem that I have, that they didn't find any other receivers in the draft or free agency to help Aaron Rodgers. Not the fact that they drafted Jordan Love, because at some point, Jordan Love will be the quarterback of the future for the Packers. But it's the point that they didn't help Aaron Rodgers right now. Teams are looking, and to Nick's point, teams are looking for quality quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers. They're trying to find a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who is very similar to Aaron Rodgers. Every team in the league is trying to find this type of talent. You're telling me you don't want to put talent around him and you would rather push him to a side for a first-round rookie? To me, that just doesn't make any sense. How about you try to find a way to help your quarterback? And here's another thing that you can do if you're the Green Bay Packers. You can find a way to stiffen up that defense a little bit because in the NFC Championship game, you got 285 rushing yards crammed down your throat. It wasn't all Aaron Rodgers' fault that you lost that game, but maybe if your defense stepped up and played better at that point in time, that you would have actually played in the Super Bowl this season.
But, Nick, also, who cares if he's a little moody? And who cares if he's a little passive-aggressive or whatever, a little imperial? Isn't that okay if you're a one-percenter, if you're a guy who's carried an organization for the last couple of years? Shouldn't you be given that right?
There you go. Jenna, thank you. That is exactly correct, Jenna Wolf. What do coaches think they're there for? They are there to support their best players. This idea that you know what sports organizations are? A collection of players. That's all they are. Everyone else involved, their whole role is to supplement those players and put them in the best position. To quote one of my favorite lines from any television show ever is Dom Draper saying, I forget who was saying it to, I think Peggy, when she was saying, you never say thank you. And he looks at her and he says, that's what the money's for. Hey, guess what, LaFleur? Your whole job is to make Aaron Rodgers feel appreciated, loved, and respected. Brian Gutekunst, the hell do you think you do around here? It is not wage silent war against your best player. It is to put him in the best position to succeed. And Kevin, I think Brian's point about 285 rushing yards is a great one, or the fact that Rodgers was sacked, I think, 11 times, sacked or fumbled 11 times in the 2 games against the Niners, if I have those numbers right. It's not just that they didn't draft a receiver. It's that they had, by regular season and postseason success, the second best year they've had in his entire career. And with their most valuable asset, Wilds, they took someone who they hope will play 0 snaps. Even if it's not a wide receiver, take a D tackle, take a corner, take the kid from the D2 school the Patriots took. I don't care. Take someone who might get on the field for you instead of a guy who's, because you're trying to send a message to Rodgers. It doesn't make sense to me, Wilds.
All right, so, Nick, I know more than anything in this world you value take integrity. Take integrity is the paramount of the Nick Wright mountain.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, I support Aaron Rodgers, and you know I support Tom Brady. But Dusty, our researcher, is much more cold and calculating than I am. And I said, Dusty, is there any devil's advocate type thing that justifies maybe Aaron Rodgers is on the decline? And Dusty, not me, Dusty, our researcher, gave us this graphic, and I wanted to put it up to you because I know you value take integrity, and you've been killing my guy Tom Brady, but there is some like, oh boy. Nick, what's your reaction to this? This is not great, and it made me think like, oh, maybe this is a little similar to like my guy Brady. Now they both win a lot of games, but I know you love take integrity, so I wanted your take on this.
Okay, yeah. So my take on this is, if you leave this graphic up, please, because there's a lot of signs of why you had to massage it. First of all, I love the rankings from week 9 to 17. That's a ranking that doesn't exist anywhere.
This is Dusty, it's not me.
Rodgers' worst game and start it there. Okay, that's fine. Whatever it is. Secondarily, what it doesn't have on there is touchdown interception ratio, where Rodgers, as Brian Westbrook mentioned, was 26-4. What it also does not have on there is Brady was doing that with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers was doing it with Matt LaFleur, who wants to evidently become more of a running team for reasons that I don't understand. Now, if the argument is Aaron Rodgers is no longer A+, most talented, most